Greetings, my champions of the light, and welcome back to another episode of Light Be With You. This time, we will be venturing to Westfall, and you may be surprised to find that we come across a familiar face. We are currently in Ironforge, so my friends, we make our way towards the Flight Master, and after quite a long flight across multiple zones, we finally find ourselves in Westfall. And first, my friends, we will have to pick up some quests. Scout Garland tasks us with collecting bandanas, and so it appears we are going to have to commit acts of violence against the Defias bandits. And what do you know, Brian Stoutmantle also has a quest, asking us to slaughter bandits. And by his side, his buddy has a quest for us to collect gnoll paws of all things. And now I don't know about you, my friends, but I believe collecting gnoll paws, well, let's just say the gnolls are not going to give those up willingly. And what do you know? It's the Warlock from the last episode. I would have surely missed them if they hadn't revealed their presence. And it appears the Warlock has been busy since we last met. They are now level 17. And of course, my friends, it appears my holy ways still live rent-free in the Warlock's mind. However, nevertheless, the Warlock does invite me to a group. And it turns out the Warlock is also on the quest to collect gnoll paws. I follow the Warlock far across the plains of Westfall, and of course the Warlock runs through all the danger. They must be confident in their abilities, or more likely, my friends, from the last episode, they must know my faith in the light is strong. And it turns out the Warlock has a trick of their own. They summon forth from the darkness a Void Walker. I can't say I'm thrilled about healing this devilish fiend, and it appears the feelings are mutual. I'm not sure it appreciates my holy healing spells. We are able to take on multiple camps of these gnoll fiends. Unlike the imp from the last episode, the Warlock's new minion is quite tanky, and what do you know? In no time at all, we have collected all of the 8 gnoll paws. However, it appears the Warlock has not changed their attitude towards me. They are just using me for my holy healing spells. Fear not, my friends, this is not too disheartening, for very soon the light blesses me, and I reach level 15. And after collecting all of our gnoll paws, I follow the Warlock back across the plains of Westfall, and as a reward, I gain 975 experience points. The Warlock then reveals that they need bandanas, and what do you know, I also have this quest, so we set out across Westfall once more, and before long we have found a base of operations for the Defias smugglers and Defias trappers. Unfortunately, there are slim pickings, and the Warlock remarks, perhaps these lower-class Defias bandits are less likely to own their own bandanas. I remark that the Voidwalker minion is perhaps being a little too violent, and could well be damaging their bandanas. The Warlock disagrees, but before long we have hunted down the minimum requirement of 15 Defias smugglers and 15 Defias trappers. Unfortunately, I only have about half of my bandanas, and to make matters worse, after picking up the follow-on quest to hunt down Defias looters and Defias pillagers, the Warlock reveals they have to go. This is a damning blow. I thought I might just have the opportunity to adventure through Westfall with the Warlock and some more, but they have to leave. Now, my friends, some of you non-disciples are probably wondering why I can't just complete the quest myself. And that is because without the Warlock, I have no one to do any of the killing. And this is a problem, you see, because as a holy priest of the light, I have to follow the holy commandments. We must harm no creatures. We must sacrifice ourselves for others, doing everything within reason to save lives. And we must not beg for help or carries. So don't expect me to be typing in the general chat, asking if anyone can help me finish the quest. No, my friends, instead, I have another quest that I may be able to do. The Defias Brotherhood questline begins by asking you to travel all the way to Redridge Mountains and locate a special agent of SI-7 following the path until it leads us to the Three Corners in Redridge. While here, I meet up with Guard Parker, and he gives me a simple quest. All I have to do is meet with his deputy in Lakeshire town, and so we make our way further into Redridge Mountains. And what do you know? I even come across my first ever Briarthorn. Remember, my friends, these Briarthorn will be needed if I want to level my alchemy profession. And I do want to level my alchemy profession. I travel up the hill, and what do you know, a most beautiful sight, Lakeshire. I hand the message over to Deputy Felden, and he even gives me a few silver. Many of these quests in Lakeshire, well, let's just say they're a little too dangerous. Now, my friends, you may not know this, but there are a large number of quests in Lakeshire that do not require you to do battle. For example, my friends, Foreman Oslo at the other end of the bridge, he asks us to collect his toolbox that has fallen into Lake Everstill while he was working on the bridge. Werner Osgood, besides the stables in Lakeshire, has asked us to deliver a note to Smith Argus of Goldshire. And of course, on the dockside, we meet up with a little kid called Sean, who asks us to collect his girlfriend's necklace that he's too scared to go and collect himself. It appears it's fallen into Lake Everstill as well. There's surely a lot of treasure to be had. Inside the town hall, I meet up with the magistrate. He's requesting that the Stormwind army send reinforcements to Lakeshire. It appears they have an issue with an orcish invasion. Fear not, my friends. The light will protect us. I venture into the Lakeshire Inn. That's right, it is literally just called the Lakeshire Inn. And the waitress inside this tavern, well, she has asked me to bring some lunch to Guard Parker. And what do you know? It turns out Lakeshire Inn is running low on good booze to drink. And barkeep Daniels, he asks us to find some booze to replenish the supplies. And so, another quest that I can surely complete without any combat necessary. And finally, my friends, I meet up with Wiley the Black, the secret agent, the reason I came here in the first place. And what do you know? For simply delivering this message, I receive over 1,300 experience points. A glorious success. And so when he asked me to return to Grind Stoutbundle with another message, let's just say I'm happy to oblige. Now, my friends, there is one more quest I may be able to do. Inside this house, there is a quest to collect various reagents for Redridge Goulash. And I believe that I could possibly purchase these reagents from the auction house, as we did with other recipes like Westfall stew, and even earlier than that, Felsamar blood sausages. So I'll pick up the quest, and if the reagents are not too expensive, well, I may as well do that quest as well. And so, my friends, it appears that despite the absence of the Warlock, there are still plenty of quests for us to complete. I leap into Lake Everstill, searching the lake bed for anything shiny that catches my eye. But it turns out there's nothing here, and I will have to venture even deeper into Lake Everstill. And my friends, as you venture out into Lake Everstill, well, let's just say that kid wasn't lying about monsters in these watery depths. For it turns out there are high-level murlocs in these parts. And to make matters worse, somehow this lake appears to be home to a sea monster. The murloc appears to be frantically swimming back and forth. I wait patiently for the murloc to change direction, and then I grab Hillary's necklace and make a quick escape. However, my friends, in these watery depths there is something else that I must retrieve. Oslo's toolbox. And it is not going to be easy. Fortunately, by using my psychic scream, I am able to anger the murloc beast enough, and it follows me up the riverbank, right into the blades of the Lakeshire guards. One murloc down, but there is one more to go, and this one is even deeper into Lake Everstill. And this murloc, at level 20, is 5 levels higher than myself. Fortunately, my psychic scream lands, and what do you know, my friends? The murloc decides to follow me all the way up, and is promptly slaughtered. Now, I technically didn't cause any direct harm to these murloc fiends, so I believe that is perfectly permissible. As I make a grab for Oslo's toolbox, I realize how close I was to certain death, Not everyone makes it past these ferocious murlocs alive. I burst free from the lake, and I make my way over to Oslo. I hand him his toolbox and he gives me a healthy dose of experience points. I then return the necklace to Hillary, and she gives me an even healthier dose of experience points in return. My disciples, it is important to help all those we can, for it is through our deeds of kindness that we strengthen our faith in the light. I take a griffin back to Stormwind City, and I make a dash for the auction house. And I make an attempt to purchase reagents. Unfortunately, my friends, for some reason, the price of these ingredients are extremely expensive, so I will most likely pass on this quest for the time being. However, my friends, in a twist of fate, it turns out these Gortus Glivers, let's just say they are going for quite a reasonable price. And so I buy up a few of these Gortus Glivers, and we will surely now be able to complete the quest for Gortus Gliver Pie back in Westfall. While in Stormwind, I make a quick stop at the local wine shop, and my friends, I purchase a cask of Merlot, going for over 8 silvers. I journey out of the front gates and meet up with General Marcus Jonathan. And my friends, I deliver the news. I explain to the General that Lakeshire is having some trouble with orcish invasions, and he tells me that, well, he doesn't really care, and it's not his problem. This is where I randomly discover that I can salute General Marcus Jonathan, and he will return the respect that a man of the Holy Light is owed. For even the Stormwind Guard show their respect to a man of the Holy Light. And I venture out into Elwyn Forest, and I travel all the way down to Goldshire. In Goldshire, I hand in the request from Werner Osgood, and Smith Argus promptly hands me a crate of horseshoes. He intends for me to return these to Lakeshire. While in town, I stop at the Lion's Pride Inn, and I purchase a skin of sweet rum for over 7 silvers. Next, my friends, I meet up with Brian Stoutmantle at Sentinel Hill, and I give him the super secret message, and he's very pleased and tells me to head to Stormwind City. However, first off, I will drop off these Gortus Glivers to Salma Saldine at the Saldine's farm. And what do you know, she's most grateful and offers me 900 experience points. I then follow the path, venturing south through Westfall into the Dagger Hills. These hills are famous as a lot of stabbings go on here. Fortunately, I don't get stabbed, and I find a dwarf who gives me a keg of Thunderbrew in return for some hops that I'd collected from my bank while in Stormwind earlier. Hopefully this variety of booze will please Lakeshire Inn's bartender. A griffin returns me to Stormwind City, and I meet up with the leader of the famed SI7, and I give him Wiley's note. I'm pleased to see that even Master Matthias Shaw respects the Holy Light. Returning to Werner Osgood at the stables in Lakeshire, I hand him the crate of horseshoes from Smith Argus. I then stop by the town hall and let Magistrate Solomon know that General Marcus Jonathan, well, he doesn't really care. I leave the town of Lakeshire, and I make my way down to the Three Corners. And I take this opportunity to hand Guard Parker his lunch, and as a show of thanks to the waitress, he asks me to purchase some flowers from the herbalist in Lakeshire. But before we do that, my friends, I must venture into the terrifying Duskwood, and it would be best if I stick to the road, as many of the creatures off the beaten path, let's just say they are 6 or 7 levels higher than myself. And what do you know, as I approach the town of Darkshire, I level to level 16. That exploration experience really comes in handy. In Darkshire, I head into the Scarlet Raven Tavern, and the bartender sells me a bottle of moonshine for over 12 silvers, and I take a flight from Darkshire directly to Sentinel Hill. There I bring a message from Master Matthias Shaw to Brian Stoutmantle, and now, my friends, he has asked me with hunting down the Defias messenger, and we will surely come back to this later. And let's just say, my friends, we have been doing quite a lot of flying this episode, and as I return to Lakeshire, I let Magistrate Solomon know that even Brian Stoutmantle himself, well, he doesn't really care about Lakeshire's plight. And now Magistrate Solomon, well, he doesn't want anything to do with me. So I head over to Lakeshire's herbalist, and I purchase some flowers and I bring them to Darcy as Guard Parker requested. I suppose the quest was very easy, but it wasn't very rewarding. However, my friends, Barkeep Daniels is most pleased that I have collected a wide variety of booze on my travels, and with Lakeshire Inn well stocked, he not only gives me 1,050 experience points, but he even is so kind as to give me a bulging sack of coins. This just about covers the cost of purchasing all that booze. And now, my friends, it turns out I've completed all of the simple quests in Lakeshire. Any other quests would require me to do battle with various creatures, and that is not something I'm able to do. So, as I am level 16, I leave Lakeshire for the last time, and returning to Stallman City, well, I head over to the Cathedral of Light. And what do you know, my friends, at level 16, well, let's just say I've unlocked the ability to heal. That's right, my friends, I train a spell that is literally called Heal. This is probably the most pacifist spell you can possibly have. For the amount of mana this spell costs, let's just say it is very, very efficient, and will make me highly effective at healing dungeons. That's right, my friends. It won't be long now before we venture into the Dead Mines. Now, my friends, thank you very much for watching, and so that you don't miss the next episode, where we venture into the Dead Mines, please consider subscribing. And always remember, light be with you.